Hi everyone, I'm Jed Shlackman. I'm a holistic counselor and also a spiritual energy healer and hypnotherapist. This video is one where I'll be speaking about the topic of relationships, primarily intimate relationships, and what are some of the significant themes to consider, some of the important dimensions or aspects of relationships that we can explore if we want to have more healthy, more balanced and harmonious relationships. If you look at human societies and cultures, you'll see a wide variety of patterns and styles of intimate relationships. Some cultures have a very strong focus on traditions in that culture. There are cultures where marriages are arranged for connecting families, for financial purposes or social status. In other cultures, there's more of a focus on romance, on finding excitement and passion in relationships. There are also some areas of society where relationships are seen kind of more from a spiritual perspective, a viewpoint of people coming together to support one another's spiritual and psychological growth. So we can look at these different layers or levels of relationship within a particular couple. They may coexist. So you can be relating at one time on one level, and at a different time or context or situation, you're relating to the partner on another level. So for those that are looking for more depth or closeness in relationship, it's often a process of evolving or shifting towards some of the more deep aspects of relationship, some of the more energetic and spiritual levels of connection, where you're not just there to play a particular masculine or feminine role for a partner. You're not just there to protect the person, to provide financial support for a person, to send them love letters. You're actually looking more at each person in the relationship as a spiritual being having this human experience as part of its growth, its development in becoming more loving, more compassionate, more understanding, etc. In relationships, we're often triggered in some sense to bring out our insecurities, our fears, our lack of self-worth or self-confidence. So these are things that we encounter as we interact in an intimate way with another person. We're challenged to see ourselves more, in a sense, to understand what emotional issues we're bringing to the table, what insecurities we're carrying, what unhealed patterns or issues from our early attachment relationships need to be explored. So it's really rather complex. Relationships bring out many things about ourselves and how we relate to others that we can refine in some way. We can see where we're codependent, where we're insecure, where we're avoidant. All these different patterns of how we relate to other people are brought out in intimate relationships. And it's an opportunity to look deep within oneself to see how these particular patterns may have developed or been created through your life journey, through your ancestral patterns, perhaps from other incarnations. All of those influences may play some role or part in how you've developed to become who you are right here and now, and how you interact with the people who are close to you. So, to explore this topic, I often encourage people to do some reading to gain some deeper insight into how relationships can evolve to function more as spiritual partnerships, you might say, where you're not caught up in your insecurities so much, you're able to actually be more present with the other person, to have more understanding for one another, to support each other as individuals who are growing and evolving, and in a way to grow together where you're each conscious of one another as an individual with your own unique values and beliefs, your own passions and desires, all the aspirations that you may have in your life, and seeing where those fit together in a sense, where you are collaborating with each other to support your growth, to be partners in particular life projects, we might say. So you might be partners in a business, partners in raising children, partners in managing a household. So if you're in a relationship and you're living together and collaborating in certain ways, you want to have a certain level of appreciation and understanding for each other's perspectives, for each other's skills and resources and abilities that you're bringing to this relationship and to the particular situations that you encounter as a couple. So that's not an easy task. There's a lot of self-work involved with the relationships in addition to the couple's work. So you're collaborating with another person while you're also gaining insight into yourself, building more self-awareness, and ideally creating more balance and harmony within your own being so you can be more present with another person and able to communicate better with them, to process things with them, to work out whatever challenges are coming up within the relationship. So I recommend particular books for those that want to look deeper into their relationship patterns as well as their goals or purpose within the relationship. One of the books I recommend at times is called Love Between Equals, and this comes from a somewhat Buddhist type psychological perspective. The idea here is that in a relationship the partners are here to support each other. We're each unique human beings, spiritual beings, and we can practice being more present with each other, seeing each person as a valuable part of the partnership, and being able to listen, to have compassion for the other person, to respect them as an individual, to not feel you need to control them or force them to be someone that caters to your needs and desires. It's not about the other person giving you validation. It's about you having more of that security within your own being so you can be more present and able to listen to your partner, able to understand them, to have more patience with them and their perspective, to not be as reactive, to not be as easily upset or irritated by things your partner does. We're all human beings and we all have these reactions, these insecurities, these things that might trigger us, but we can cultivate more of a balanced and present type of state of being where we're able to really be with that other person in the relationship, where we don't get triggered to run away from them, we don't get triggered where we're afraid of losing them and we're clinging too hard. We can kind of flow better, we can be present and also able to follow our own individual path and interests in life, whereas the other person can do that as well, and we're able to do that at the same time we maintain that partnership. Another book that I recommend at times is called Spiritual Partnership, and that one's by Gary Zukav, The Love Between Equals. That book is by Polly Young Eisendrath. So spiritual partnerships, as I mentioned, Gary Zukav is the author, and he's actually better known for his book Seed of the Soul, which focuses on a wide range of spiritual and self-help topics, guidance for living our life in a more conscious or mindful way. So that perspective, the spiritual perspective or overview, is brought into looking at our intimate relationships and how we can have more of that spiritual understanding as we relate to a partner, so that we are supporting each other as spiritual beings going through our process of personal growth and evolution, where you're not trying to mold another person to just be something to satisfy you in the relationship. You're allowing them the freedom to be who they are and who they are becoming. With that understanding, we can actually be even more at ease or at peace when a relationship may come to an end, when people may feel it's the time to separate, to go on individual paths apart from each other, to understand that there's nothing bad or wrong about that. We're not a failure if a relationship has come to its point of conclusion where it's no longer serving the interests or well-being of both of those people involved. In my perspective, we need to have that understanding with all of our relationships in life. Nothing needs to be thought of as permanent, because nothing actually is permanent. Everything is in some state of motion or evolution. So as you're evolving, you might come to a point in your journey where a particular relationship or partnership isn't serving your personal growth or expansion anymore. You may have received what you need to from that relationship. It may have helped you grow in certain ways in a certain phase of your life, but you might be ready now for something that transcends that, and that particular partner might not be the best person for you to be with for the next stage in your journey. And that's not something to feel guilt or shame or regret about. It might be just part of your soul's path in this lifetime. Just like other types of partnerships in life, a romantic partnership might not necessarily be a lifelong partnership. We might have a job or business partnership or contract that we're in, and there may be a point where it concludes and you don't feel like you have to stay there past the conclusion of that partnership or contract. You can realize that it's time to move on to something else that better serves the interests of all involved. This doesn't mean you should quickly run away from any relationship that's having challenges. It just means that there are times when in the long run it might be better to separate, to go on your own individual paths where you can find more fulfillment, something that serves you better with someone else or some other situation. If you're in a relationship and you do want to strengthen it, to grow together, that often does take energy and effort and mindfulness. So the books I referenced are ones that can help you learn and practice those types of skills that will benefit you in a relationship, but will also benefit you to become a more balanced, a more integrated individual, so that even if you do end up deciding to move on from a relationship, you'll carry these skills with you so that any future relationships will be able to be addressed in a more conscious and mindful way. I hope that this brief introduction to this topic and those couple of book references will be helpful or valuable for many of you. For anyone interested in more resources for holistic health and wellness and personal growth, you're invited to visit my website, phinsights.com. That's spelled PHINSIGHTS.com. For now, I wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.